Are you ready? What?
I got something to say.
Well, hello, Andrew. You're not here.
Oh, Todrick. I am not. We're ships in the night, buddy. You had your big Disney vacation last week, and
it was awesome. I had such a good time. I didn't want to come back. It was 82 degrees and sunny and beautiful. I love it.
Ironically, it's 80 degrees here in Little Rock, but it's definitely not Epcot or Disney. So
no,
that's okay. Actually, Little Rock's a cool little town. It's not bad.
Is it? Can't say I've ever been. Can't say I've ever been.
You know, the joys of traveling. Sometimes this is. I have 4 states on my list to cross off, and I'll have touched all 50.
Hold on, I think I can get them.
Okay,
it's Hawaii and Alaska.
Got those 2.
Is it North Dakota, South Dakota?
I've hit both of those.
Damn. Wyoming.
Hit it. One's big sky country.
Wyoming.
You just said Wyoming.
Oh, Montana. Montana.
Yes. Montana is one, which is the one I want to go to really bad.
Montana.
And think potatoes.
Idaho.
Those are 2 I haven't done yet.
Interesting. All right, we got to get there.
So yeah, we got to get there because there's a ton of good distilleries out in Bozeman or Butte or wherever. I'm sure.
Sure. You mean breweries?
Well, they have good beer in Montana. I don't know about whiskey yet, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But we have good whiskey tonight, and nice little segue. We have someone with us who we have been. We apologize for taking so bloody long.
I don't get it.
For us to, it's funny because I there was a Instagram post of John Bon Jovi where he said, finally after 40 years in the business, I'm doing a song with Joe Elliott from Def Leppard. It's been too long for us to get together. I was like, that's us in Baltimore Spirits. It hasn't been 40 years, but it's been too long for us to actually get together.
Super excited, guys. I can't wait for our audience.
Max Lents is waiting patiently to come on up. So we'll bring him up in literally just a couple of seconds. We cannot wait to have him up here. They just celebrated 10 years of excellence.
Yeah, amazing.
Baltimore Spirits, awesome. Which we're super stoked about. Real quick house business before we do get going. A week from today, we will be dropping our Corbin Cash. Ooh. So it is finally here. It is crossed the country, or it's almost finally. This has been since March, people. We know you've been waiting patiently, but this is
here. It is right here.
Absolutely a divine spirit.
There's all I got left from Rock the Rick House, where David brought back
the infamous sweet potato o' mine is coming. It's coming fast. It's coming furious. It's going to be dropping next week.
Of a sweet potato spirit. I bet she'd be down with this. I mean, it's just, we'll have to give him a little sample of this
I'll say, with all the good stuff they've got going on there, why not add one more?
I mean, come on. Yeah, so that's next Tuesday, you said, right, Andy? Tuesday's dropping?
That's right. But tonight we're going to be sipping on, gosh, it's good. Just a little preview. We're going to be sipping on this beautiful puppy who is coming out. That absolutely gorgeous and glorious concoction is coming. So why don't we bring up there? That's right. Why don't we bring up the man behind this goodness? Please welcome for the first time, long overdue, Max Lents from Baltimore Spirits Company.
There he is. There he is. There he is. That goes on forever, Max. It's long. It's long. How you doing, Max? Welcome.
I'm doing good. I love that intro from you guys. It's something different being in the waiting room while it's happening. I love it.
There you go.
I'm glad you liked it. We're stoked to have you, man. I've been up a couple times. The facility, Todd's been out there. Great stuff going on. You guys, first of all, congratulations on 10 years. That is something in and of itself, an amazing accomplishment. You had a big old weekend where you celebrated with a party this weekend. For those who don't know you and Baltimore Spirits. The floor is yours, my friend. Introduce yourself to the world.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. 10 years this weekend was a big thing. If any of your listeners came to the party, that's awesome. We had a blast. We had a bunch of people come through. It was hectic in the best way, and kind of just barely in control, which is the most you can hope for. So that was awesome. But 10 years ago, honestly, 11, I broke ground on the original distillery 11 years ago, and I started working on the business plan 12 to 13 years ago, something like that. There were 0 distilleries in the state of Maryland when I started the business plan. And the goal was, the kind of founding principle was to bring rye whiskey back to Maryland. Maryland rye whiskey at one point was the premier spirit in the United States. It's one of only 2 whiskey appellations that are actually listed in federal code. There's Kentucky bourbon and there's Maryland straight rye whiskey. And that's because all the laws surrounding production and stuff were written around the turn of the 19th to 20th century, so around the year 1900. And at that point, Kentucky bourbon and Maryland straight rye whiskey were the 2 biggest things that the U.S. had going in the whiskey world. So it was a real shame that nothing had been going on in Maryland since the 70s, and honestly, really since Prohibition, nothing had stuck. But rye whiskey was back on the come up. People were kind of rediscovering the spirit, why it was important, but also that it's good. It kind of had a big reputation shift during Prohibition, when it was all being kind of imported through Canada and sold by mobsters and adulterated and stuff, that kind of ruined its reputation. But people kind of rediscovered the fine version of rye whiskey in the early 2000s, and we're very happy to be part of the story of bringing it back to Maryland. So we're the oldest rye whiskey distillery in Maryland. We're a pot still distillery. We don't have a stripping column, no hybrid still. It's a true double copper pot still situation, which is, almost no distilleries in the U.S. do that anymore. And a lot of pot distilled whiskeys are really stripped on a column and then run through a pot. But it's slow and it's expensive and it's a pain in the butt. And there's a lot of reasons not to do it. But this is how most Maryland rye would have been done when Maryland was famous for rye. And that's what we wanted to do. And we're just passionate about pot still spirits. So we built what kind of looks like a tiny little Scotch distillery in Baltimore. We're now in our second version of that, up to V2.0, so starting in 2018, and maybe V3.0 by the end of next year. We'll see.
Wow, it's amazing.
We were quickly fans. We had some early iterations of the Epoch Rye. And
first of all, I always thought it was Epoch because Epoch Library. I always thought it was Epoch. I was saying it wrong for probably 2 years. I don't know how long. So I'm glad I'm saying it right. I actually put up the review of this 6 year today, and somebody said, "Well, you're not saying that word correctly." Like, no, I'm saying it right now. It's Epic. Okay. So one thing I want to ask you, Max, when I first got into rye whiskey, or actually whiskey, gosh, Andy, when did we start? We started out as a homebrewing channel, just to give you some background on us. So we started as homebrewers and loved doing that, and then started drinking barrel-aged beer and quickly wanted to find out why we loved barrel-aged beer so much. And he said, well, let's start drinking the whiskey because that's what we love about it. It was a very slippery slope. And when we got the rye whiskey, I started, not knowing what I don't know, but, Epic was on the shelves. It was a rye. It was Maryland. I loved it. And it wasn't Sagamore I fell in love with. It was Baltimore Spirits Epic. And you remember that? I was like, this is my jam. What is this? Because you knew more about this 5-6 years ago than I did. You're telling me all this. It's 100% Maryland rye. This, Sagamore's, it's MGP. And I was like, well, what is it? Help us understand getting into the marketplace when you have, Sagamore down the street, and you said that you're the oldest, Maryland rye distillery out there. How difficult is it to get sort of in the market against a Sagamore that's known for its rye whiskey? And you guys are 100% really Maryland rye, where they're until now sourcing it. How hard has that been over those 10 years?
Yeah, but we were doing 2 very different things.
Right.
And I'll first say that I really like all the dudes at Sagamore. We've got a great relationship with them.
As do we. If that question sounded loaded, it wasn't. We love the guys at Sagamore.
I do too, but
we've done collaborative releases, which have been fun. But there's a lot of ways to start a whiskey distillery, and we picked the stupidest one. We're not good business people. We're good whiskey makers. And I've said that a bunch of times. Like, when I was 10 years younger, and just a little bit hotter in the head. I had much less sympathy for anybody who was selling sourced whiskey. You know, like I got into this to make whiskey. That's why I got into it. We want to sell the things we make. We're proud of the things we make. That's the thing. And that makes a lot of sense. But it's a bad business. You know, you have to invest a bunch in inventory that you can't sell for years. And if you want to be bigger in 3 years than you are today, you got to be making whiskey for a company that you're not big. You're not that size yet. So how do you afford that ever? And so, you know, we haven't sourced any whiskey, and we put our own stuff down on day one, which was in 2015. And we didn't get to sell that till 2018. And, you know, there were times where we couldn't buy a new mop head because we didn't have the cash for it. And we skipped paychecks and sold personal stuff to kind of pay our rents. And it was a tough road, and kind of living the life for 10 years. It very much, I just feel like if you can get open, and if it's your goal to be making whiskey, do it however you can do it, because it's tough out there. And, you know, good luck everybody. But Sagamore has always been really helpful. And, you know, we opened in 2015. Their distillery was finished in 2017, but their original MGP sourced whiskey was out, I think 2015 or 16, a little bit before the distillery was completed. And generally, because they're so big and had so much kind of marketing push behind them, we always felt like at the end of the day, it was probably good for our company to have somebody out there telling the story of Maryland Rye on a large scale, to bring attention to the state when there were only a handful of us that were really small and didn't really have any marketing dollars to spend. And we were just telling our story in person at the distillery, at tastings, and, you know, jumping on the occasional podcast or getting some local news printed up about us from time to time. But having somebody like Sagamore, who's making a big deal all across the country about Maryland Rye, probably brought more eyes our way.
That's great. That's a good point.
Yeah, so I don't know that we would have done better without them. I think generally it's been good for everybody.
I like that collaborative spirit from Maryland whiskey too, because outside of some archaic laws that we had for a while here, and then obviously being so big pre-prohibition, it is nice to have someone help shine the spotlight on Maryland whiskey. I think about how instrumental Brian Treacy was in helping all of these groups and really bringing that to the forefront. You know, Mark and Archer, great examples, doing American single malt right down the street from you guys, doing amazing things. And it's nice to start to see the attention that is well deserved to both, you know, Old Line and Baltimore Spirits. You guys are just, you're killing it. And you're not just whiskey. You know, before we start diving into the 6 year, which is absolutely glorious, but I spent a lot of money when I went in there last time, grabbing some, gins and ryes and stuff. Your gins were some of the best I've ever tasted. They were absolutely dynamite. The skeleton is unique as can be. The barrel aged gin was fantastic, and then the straight regular gin still had a Baltimore flair to it. Tell us about some of the other stuff that helped get you off the ground while you were waiting for this passion of the whiskey to kind of get you off and running.
Yeah, Shot Tower Gin was our first product on the shelf, and we are true believers. Like, I believe that original Shot Tower Gin is one of the best American dries being distilled to this day.
It definitely is.
The Skeleton Spirit is the kind of what we would call a contemporary botanical gin, so it's a little less historic in its build, but I think also excellent quality. The frustrating thing about gin for gin lovers like myself is that in some ways it's easy to make, in that, you know, if you start with neutral, you can throw some juniper in there, whatever else you want. It's done in a day. You proof it, you bottle it, and that's a really useful tool for any distillery, but especially a young distillery that doesn't have any whiskey yet, like we were. So what you see is a lot of distilleries where the person in charge, and especially in really small operations where there's only a handful of people, and so someone's got to be making decisions. The person who kind of implements the whole idea might not be a gin enthusiast or kind of really love gin or passionate about it enough to take the time and the effort to really dial in the recipe, because it's difficult. The resources are limited. It takes a lot, like research, trial and error, and of course, and the best thing to do is always be to talk to a bunch of other people and see when you can kind of dial in your own thing. But if you don't have the desire inside of you to love your gin, then it's going to be hard to make a lovable gin. So but we spent a long time on the Shot Tower gin recipe.
You guys killed it. You absolutely killed it.
It took years
beautiful
to come out with the skeleton because we didn't have another top tier great idea that we needed to pursue for 5 years or so after that to add to the gin portfolio. But
absolutely. And you're getting some love right now in the comments with the brandy, also fantastic. You
first fell in love with the apple brandy in 2017, Max. So there you go.
Yeah, that was early as well. Thanks, Anthony. I love being able to see the chat in here.
Yeah.
The thing about it for the first 3 years entirely was really just a 2-man operation. It was just Eli and myself, and the benefit is that it's very nimble. And Eli's he's my co-founder and head distiller, and he's an absolutely fantastic distiller. And just awesome with flavor and production. He came from professional beer brewing, so he brought a bunch of kind of fermentation knowledge and just warehouse management knowledge that's incredibly invaluable. But the thing is there's not a lot of people to say no when there's only 2 people, and both of them are very enthusiastic about spirits. So our catalog proliferated in the early days because we would just get a wild hair and want to pursue something, and then we did, and it'd be very hard for us not to just release it. And in some ways that was good, when we needed money, products, things like that. But it took a long, we had to kind of at some point decide no, okay, we need to find a way to not expand the core lineup without really deep intention anymore, because we introduced a lot of stuff early, some unrelated things, and it was just us kind of following our passions. And we were putting in 40, 60 hours a week in the production room. So when you're in there for that long and you got ingredients and a little test still and botanicals, things are gonna happen.
It's amazing. Yeah, Andy, I remember when we were talking with Still Austin back in the day. It's the same story, right? They were not sourcing whiskey, and for the first 2 years, they were putting out neutral spirits, and that's kept them afloat. Now in Texas, it ages very quickly, right? So the heat they have down there in Austin, their bourbon was really ready, and it tasted like a 6-year Kentucky in 3 years because of the heat. How about for you guys? When you first laid down those first rye whiskeys, the Climate Maryland, much different. I remember drinking your 3-year rye, and it was, it had a distinct flavor to it, but it certainly didn't taste youthful to me. Now you're at 6. How's that migration been from when you first started putting out this Epic at 3 year, then 4 and 5 and 6? How have you seen that evolution of this bottle?
Yeah. It's surprising. It's not like we knew what a 6-year Epic Rye would taste like before we had one. So as we get older, we're learning along with our audience what our spirit ages like. We always thought that we had a really good opportunity for big ages down the road because we use really low rectification pot stills, meaning they're really inefficient, really bad at their job of separating alcohol from everything else. They're kind of conceptually modeled after the Lagavulin stills. If y'all have ever seen those, they're very short and fat and look like Hershey's Kisses, but no rectification bubble. They're very short for their volume. So it lets a lot of, rich oils through and really dense flavor profiles. So there's a lot of opportunity for things to develop in barrel. There's just a ton of congeners and stuff. So Anthony's distracting me with.
He does that a lot.
He's good at that. We call him the palate. If Anthony likes it, it's like Mikey from Life Cereal. Everyone's going to like it. Good.
So, yeah. So we figured that more time in barrel would always be good, but at the same time, young rye has always been its own category, right?
Yeah.
It's not like young bourbon. Bourbon is fermented corn sugar, and corn sugar is not a particularly interesting flavor. So you really want it to turn over in barrel and become something else. You want a ton of barrel influence and vanilla, and you want the grain to fully develop out. Whereas rye grain is super interesting. It's, not only is it kind of bready in a wonderful way, but that's where all the kind of rye spice profile comes from. You get some of the kind of caraway notes and things like that. So we knew we didn't want to, some things we learned along the way is, in our business planning days, the very first version of the business plan, had like small barrels in it, 5-gallon barrels, because those were like brand new on the scene. So we were like, oh, people have figured out how to age whiskey fast now. You can use small barrels, and 6 months later, you're rocking and rolling. So we like had that in the plan. And of course, we're doing like 2 days a week exploring the market and tasting a bunch of whiskeys. And at some point, we kind of like looked at each other and we're like, of all the whiskeys we're trying to have, are any of the ones we like done in small barrels? And we were like, no. So we like had to exit out of the plan. So we knew, but the kind of one of our kind of tent poles was, all right, you know what whiskey we do like that's not 10 years old is the 2-year Willet pot still rye.
Okay.
And Willet, this was also like brand kind of really early on in Willet's resurgence where he started to see it around, and they were distilling their own rye and just releasing there wasn't even a 3-year cask strength out yet. The 2-year was like the first one. So we always had that target of a 2-year. That's a good spirit. And if we're going to do a young rye, 2 seems like a nice thing. We can also call it a straight rye at 2. So we can kind of like cut our chops on that. But we put our first whiskey barrel down, and in a good whiskey commercial, when you do that, you probably see 2 dudes hammer a bung and then high five each other. And you like, no, we wait. Really what it was like is like we hit the bung in there and we look at each other and we're like, I don't know. Like fermentation was good. Like we've tested this batch in mason jars with about 1 inch of spirit, is about as much as we understand the spirit at this point. So we put it in barrel. But we popped it at 6 months for a very small media event where we had like City Paper and Baltimore Magazine and a couple of independent writers just come out just to be like, we want to see what the whiskey's doing. We want you guys to pull it out of barrel with us for the first time. So cracked the barrel at 6 months, pulled it out. And at that point, it had come just enough to where we were convinced we were doing something special. So we still waited for 2 years for that first batch, but the very first bottle we sent to San Francisco World Spirits in 2018, and it won double gold. So that was barrel 1, bottle 1 double gold, which is awesome. Awards don't mean everything, but that was really cool, especially when we were brand new. And that was before San Francisco had like, giving out 200 double golds every year. We were one of 7 or maybe 8, and I think like 5 of them were MGPs. So it was like all this MGP source stuff, cask strength Knob Creek 10-year rye, and then like Epoch Rye. Nobody had ever heard of this thing, and that was a pretty cool moment. But the 3-year was interesting. We start to see the cherry notes come out. The 4-year reserve is interesting. We start to kind of get the sweetness. Started doing barrel finishes, and we've done a lot of our kind of post Epoch stuff sitting at 5 years, and that's been really interesting to see how those things happen. And this is the very first 6 years. So, I mean, y'all are experiencing it with me. This is my first bottle here at home, and it's unopened. I've only had drams at the distillery. So we haven't even done batch 2. So, it's hard to say over the long run what we'll learn about 6 year. All we've done is 1 batch, which, what do you really learn until you've done it a couple of times?
Well, spoiler alert. It's awesome. You've done it really well. I'm on board. So I know we've talked about a lot, but you started out with the Epoch, and you talked about Andy, you talked about the gins, but you also do a lot of finishes at Epoch. I mean, I've seen a bunch come through. What else if you're going to go to Epoch and you see Baltimore Spirits, you have the Epoch, of course, and you have the gin. What else could you find on the shelves at any given moment at Baltimore Spirits?
Yeah, we've got a couple of we do a toasted finish that's become a recurring release that has its own brand.
Fabulous.
So the post Epoch, when you see post Epoch, that means it's Epoch that's been finished in something. But the ones of those that have been the most popular and the most successful in our eyes, we'll kind of give them their own branding. So the toasted was the first one to do that, and it's really great. And we've done some single barrel like cask strength toasted picks for stores and stuff, which has been great. We just released a maple finish, which is the 3rd time we've done it, but this one's a little older, and the first time that it's been branded had kind of gotten its own brand, a little kind of graduation. And we've done a ton. So I don't think neither of you guys have done our blend your own whiskey tour.
We've not, but I've seen it. Yeah, that's amazing concept too. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, the way we do it is, when we're blending a batch of reserve, it's really subtle. We're tasting 4-year barrels that are all in their original cask, and we're looking for subtle differences, what we like, what we don't, trying to improve the finish of something that's got a good nose, things like that. But we wanted people to get an accessible experience like that, where they get to understand how to kind of create different flavors and how flavors meld. And so rather than give people 4 different versions of the same whiskey, we make it a little more obvious in a fun way. So you taste one version that's just from its original barrel, and then you taste 3 different barrel finishes. So it might be a Merlot barrel and a maple syrup barrel and a tequila barrel. But those rotate out. We have one barrel, we pull it, we do it, people blend it up, and then the next barrel will be different. So the tour is always kind of changing. If you went 6 months ago and you come back, there may be a few barrels that you didn't get to taste. But everybody tastes all the barrels. They get to use a dropper, figure out how they want to blend them if they were a master blender. And then we'll go and blend them together, and you leave with a custom bottle of your whiskey. But what's fun for us is that we get to cycle through a ton of barrel finishes, including ones that we're not really positive they're going to work, because sometimes it's nice to have an outlier for people so people like really know that, like, oh, I love this or I don't love this. So we get to do things like Lafroig barrel finishes, which are some of me and Eli's favorite that we've ever done, but something that we probably wouldn't release as a core product because Pete's really divisive, and we don't want half of our audience to be like, oh, I don't like what they do anymore, like they're doing this Pete stuff. So we get to do it. We get to do a lot of fun stuff in there. And sometimes the order of operation is like a barrel might start as something that we did once for the tour. Turns out it was awesome. So then we release it as a post-epic with slightly older whiskey. And then when the customer response to the real release is really strong, then maybe we put down 4 or 6 barrels in anticipation of this is going to be an extension of the line, and we're going to do this as a bigger release.
Well, I was a kid in a candy store when I was there picking up the 6 year. And if y'all out there don't believe me, if you didn't see this, this is just part of my experience as I was in there. And it was so funny because the crew's like, oh, you like that? Try this one. Hey, give this a try. Give this a try. And I walked out of there a happy man, because it was, but such amazing stuff, and all very unique, very different. By the way, I also have to say, Max, you do a lot of the marketing from like an aesthetic eye of the designs, like beautiful designs. I just think that's another thing. So not just as the stuff quality, but the designs. Look at those shot tower bottles, how beautiful they are. And then the Epic bottle is just, but everything is just, the facility is gorgeous. The spirits are fantastic. It is a great place to go and get lost for a while, because you guys are crushing it. There's a
lot to get through when you're in the tasting room. It's usually a multi-trip kind of a thing. But shout out to my designer, Kat. They are my ideas, but they're good. Like any good designer, she makes my ideas look like they were good.
Let me ask a question on the blend your own. I'm curious about that, because we've also seen the whole shebang from Pursuit Spirits, where you can go in and actually taste through single barrels, and you like that barrel, you can they siphon out and you get a bottle of your own. So you get you pick a barrel, but you only take away a bottle. How do you then, if you're blending your own bottle, you then allow them to make a calculation of what blends they want from the 4, and you kind of mimic that? Is that how that works? I mean, that's pretty. That's not easy to do.
It's not easy. It's a huge lift, actually. And
that's what I thought.
My crew is awesome for pulling it off 6 times a week. But basically, you come in, you get about a 20-minute history of Maryland Rye, which is really interesting and something we love to tell. Then you go and you get about a 20-25-minute tour of the distillery. And when you get back, kind of while you were disappeared, in your seat where you left an empty welcome cocktail, there is now this tasting that's been set up. So that all happens while you're on your distillery tour. You come in and you do your thing, but at your tasting is a hang tag for your bottle. And the hang tag, says, blend your own Epoch Rye on one side. And then it has, blanks for your name. And it lists the 4 barrels that you get to choose from. And we ask that any percentages you want are fine, as long as they're in increments of 5. So if you like 2 whiskeys and you want to do 95% one and 5% the other, great. You like all 4, 25%, whatever, you can get weird and do 20, 25, 30, and 15 or whatever it is. But we can't do like 23.77, but we can do 25.75. So anything within 5% increments, as long as the numbers add up to 100 and it's within 5, we go back and we use a scale and we will blend up to your ratio.
That's amazing. I love that. You know,
and then we hang your hang tag on the bottle so that like you have a record of what it was.
That's
it's a fun experience, and I think it's great. It's a great way for the community to come out and experience Maryland Rye whiskey and other amazing spirits. It's top notch. Now I have a question that's going to go off a little bit here, but someone in the chat, this is a Baltimore question.
Okay. What do we got?
The question was, hold on, let me make sure I can see if I can spotlight it again.
You lost it already. It's gone.
It's because this is a busy chat, which I'm actually loving.
Love it.
But
do you remember the question?
Here goes, Todd. If Joe Flacco was a spirit, what would he be?
He would be dry gin because he's very dry.
See, now surprisingly witty and sarcastic. But you know,
I don't know.
Would he be an elite Amaro or something like that? What would he be? What would Joe Flacco be as a spirit? It's a Baltimore guy.
Well, he's a Brown, isn't he?
He is a Brown now. Thank you.
So he's a Bungle now.
Oh, he's now a Bengal. He's actually the Bengals now.
He's Bengal. Jeez. He's just moving through the division, huh?
He is. And Joe says Goldschlager.
I
think that's a Bengal spirit. I'll take that.
There you go, Andy. Goldschlager. I love it.
We will get into some other funky spirits, but before we do that, can you give us a little bit? This Todd, this blew my mind. I don't think I had told you about this.
No.
Can you give us a little bit of backstory about this, which is a beautiful bottle sitting on your shelf, the Opal. Tell everyone a little bit about this. I love this backstory here. I absolutely love it.
Well, it looks beautiful.
It's gorgeous. That topper weighs like more than the bottle. It's amazing. It's gorgeous.
It is a wild cork. Amber and Opal. It's an awesome spirit. So we had a group of guys come through. They did our tour, and we didn't know at the time, but they were looking for a distillery that might want to kind of help them create a brand that they wanted to bring to market. They fell in love with our spirit through the tour, which a lot of people do. But they set up a meeting with us, with Eli and myself after, and they came in and they talked to Eli and they said, "Hey, we're looking at doing like a honey whiskey that we want to bring to market. Would you guys be interested in doing that?" And we don't do a ton of contract making, but not because we're not open to it, just because our system is so weird. It doesn't make a ton of sense for a ton of people. Being a pot still operation, it's not hugely scalable. But we have a lot of rye whiskey, and they fell in love with our rye, and they were like, "We want to use the rye as the base. Help us develop a thing." And what started as a very simple honey rye had a lot of different iterations. We spent quite a long time on the recipe, but eventually it turned into a botanical honey rye with honey and a couple of teas, and it's really unique, and it's smoky and rich and awesome. But about maybe 6 months into the process, there was a Zoom call, and Herb, the lead for the project, was like, "Okay, yeah, our fourth partner's joining the call. He'll be in a little bit." And I wasn't on this call, but Eli was, and kind of a blank screen on the corner, and then all of a sudden pops in Ja Rule.
Oh, jeez.
And starts chatting it up, and it turns out this is like Ja Rule's group of friends. He's going to be
out
part
of here.
The brand.
That's funny.
Are you kidding me?
Go check out his Instagram. He's pushing Amber and Opal all over the place, but it's his brand as well as his friends, and they're killing it. So we do in fact make Ja Rule's whiskey spirit, and it's awesome. They also like really trusted us to bring they were very involved in the tasting and evolution of the product, but we brought our really particular and like what we would consider refined kind of sensibilities to this thing, and we created something that's special. There's nothing else like it on the market.
So when is Ja Rule going to be at Baltimore Spirits? Let's put that.
He's been a bunch of times.
It's damn good too. It's really tasty.
It's really good. He's thrown some raging parties in our tasting room, and
I can only imagine.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome. And he did Jimmy's tailgate at the Ravens game a couple weeks ago and invited us there. And he's been guest bartending around the country, really serving this stuff. So it's been awesome to see.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I had Andy, good story.
It was funny because I'm leaving, and after I showed you the sea of Glens that I was walking out, I was like, well, that's a beautiful bottle. And all of a sudden, Whitney goes, "Come on back," and Max is like, "Let me give you a pour." And I heard the backstory is like, "This is incredible." Like and again, it's just really cool to hear that it was. I had to look up first. Is he from Baltimore? He's not. He just fell in love with the spirit and said, "This is what I want, and let's make something beautiful." And it was wonderful. If you ever are in Baltimore, for those of you who may be wondering if it's worth a visit, the whiskey is phenomenal, but there's so much there. I mean, I was really impressed with. It's okay to have a big portfolio, but sometimes you go to a diner and there's too much on the menu. You're like, can it all be that good? You guys have a really nice, large portfolio of products, and they're all dynamite. And I think that's really impressive. And I think so first of all, we could direct you guys, go to their website. I put it at the bottom on the ticker, but you guys do ship. Look at some of that stuff that they have, because
it's still available this year. We're going to get in this.
And there's some killer one-off stuff too that you're going to fall in love with. We're going to try something later that's a little bit fun and different that I think you're going to absolutely love. I can't wait for you to try it. I brought it back, but it's just, this place is a hidden gem in Hamden that you guys are going to absolutely fall in love with if you get a chance to get out.
That's a great point there, Andy. You mentioned that. So Max, for those that don't know, your distribution, if you're looking for the shelves, where are you distributed at? And then online is the best place if you're not in kind of the Maryland area. Is that correct, or am I off on that?
Well, Maryland and DC are the kind of core markets. You can find, oddly enough, a couple of our bottles. I can't tell you where, and then I'd say it's hard to find them, but we do technically have distribution in California, and some of our bottles are out there. California, Arizona, Nevada, and Washington State, technically. But we've kind of like reeled that in a little bit. So they have some stock that's been out there, but it's not something we kind of actively push. We've just opened Delaware. So really beginning of next year, you'll start to see our stuff up in Delaware. And in terms of shipping, as a Maryland distillery, we're not allowed to ship direct, but we do have a good relationship with Sealbox. So if anybody here would like to check out our stuff and they're not in the Maryland, DC area, the easiest way is going to be a Sealbox.
There you go.
Well, that's another interesting segue, because yes, you are with Sealbox, but very soon there is a possibility that you may also be working with Shared Pour and Jay West. Is that something that might be in the future that we were discussing? So a little cat out of the bag there, but yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see.
We will see.
All good things.
There you go. Yeah, we're really excited about that. All right, Andy, let's drink some whiskey. What do you want to start with here, Andy? We've got the Singularity.
I'm in a hotel room with limited glassware. So let's do the rye first out of a white wine glass that we're going to sip on.
So we're going to do the 6 year. Are we doing that now? Is that what you want to do?
Let's do the 6 year, and then we'll end with the.
All right. Well, we have someone in the basement that's got the 6 year with us. I don't know if you want to bring that up.
Is the palate here?
The palate is here. So, Max alluded to him earlier, and, he's a great friend of ours, has helped us on a lot of single barrel picks, and we call him the palate for a reason. And he was there on Sunday fortunately, Max, my kid's soccer party was all day Sunday, and I couldn't make it up, and he was traveling for work. So we missed the party, but we have patrons there. So Andy, if you want to bring up Anthony, let's drink this 6 year.
There he is. The palate, the man, the myth, the legend. What's up, Anthony?
I'm curious what you're going to say, Anthony, because you haven't put your review up on our Discord yet. I'm curious.
I wanted to be surprised. I didn't want to,
Okay. All right. I like it.
I've been waiting for his Discord review myself. So I guess this is the surprises that he's here, which is why he hasn't dropped it yet.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Just in case you want to.
Anthony, since you're here, what are your thoughts about maybe doing some collaboration with Baltimore Spirits?
Maybe a single barrel.
What do you think about that?
I think that would be amazing. I have been, I'm part of their whiskey club. I buy every release. And they have such a variety of different flavors available. And this 6-year just opens up so many potential possibilities. I am genuinely curious what they got in the back room. Maybe we can explore. Their finishes are some of the funnest in the world. I hate to say it, but my favorite BSC release is this Seal Box Madeira finish pick from last year. This would crush any port finish release that I've had. It's some of the most enjoyable whiskey I've had in my life. It is just
wow.
Yeah,
well,
and nobody knows about it, but I think
that's going to change, Anthony. That is going to change.
Definitely changing that.
Well, it's funny, Max, because people were telling us there were channels and won't name names, but who literally said it's impossible to sell a single barrel of an American single.
It's true.
And we said, nah, if stuff is good, people are going to find out. People before a product, like the people behind who's making it, and then sing the praises if it's really that good. And we've gone to Mark and Arch now twice and whipped through some. We even did a rum with them, a port finish rum, which was absolutely glorious. And I looked. They're awesome. They're great. And I looked at Todd and I was like, Baltimore Spirits got to be next. And we knew it was overdue, but I mean, it was time to really just.
So we're announcing that tonight, guys. We are doing an epic single barrel. Maybe the 6. You said you have some 6-year there that we could possibly taste through, correct, Max?
Absolutely do.
Look at that,
and would recommend.
Yeah, we're stoked.
I accept that recommendation.
Well, let's dive into this 6-year because I can tell you that it is funny. We're I don't know if you know the guys like David Souza out of Corbin Cash, Max, but they cut their teeth doing 100% Merced rye, and we've had a chance now to work with them for a couple of years. Great guy, good stuff. But watching the age kind of tick up a little bit and what that can do to a rye, I felt that when I was tasting this 6-year, because Todd and I both loved the early releases and felt that they were fantastic. But there's something about this new release where you start to see that graduation into a little bit of a more mature pour that just absolutely it hits. It just hits on all cylinders. And I see Anthony nodding his head. But tell us a little bit about like your thoughts on the 6-year as we get ready to dive in.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Age creep, and reframing the other releases, right? Like there's a part of it. There's also it's slightly unrelated. Something happened in the last couple of years where generally we gain something like 1 proof a year, and barrel has been steady for like almost the entire 10 years. And then all of a sudden at some point, like within the last year, we started pulling things that had jumped up like 6 and 8 proof in a year. And we don't really know whether it was climate related for the past year or whether it's age related, where like somehow once it crosses like a threshold, it accelerates. So we have some digging to do. We're not sure.
Interesting.
But our last cast, if anybody's kind of noticed, our last couple of releases of cast strengths have been much closer to 130 than
128.6 here. We're getting close to 130, which I'm all for.
They used to be 118, 120. It kind of depends what we went in at.
By the way, look at the color of this.
But we've done cast strength at 112.
Color's
awesome. Color's nice and red.
Look at this color, guys. Jesus, look at this.
And it's just a dynamite pour.
So I love. Real quick, Andy, what I loved about this when I first sipped it, because I love the expression of Epic and all, the 3, the 4s, the 100 proof at cast strength, the toasted. I felt, and Anthony, you can chime in here if you disagree or agree. I thought, and Andy, you mentioned this, I thought the barrel really started now to influence and layer this rye whiskey, where I'm getting even more flavors that I traditionally would get out of your Epic, which I thought was a great experience. So the experience now is even better in terms of what you get out of this Epoch. And I think that's a great thing moving forward. Like, what is this going to do now moving forward? Now that we know at 6 years, you're getting all these sort of different, maybe nuanced flavors that you weren't maybe getting earlier on. And it's all good. Anthony, any comments on that?
Oh, for sure. So, like, one of the things that's interesting is I have.
Oh, George. What's up, buddy?
I've compared this to the 5-year that was released in 2023, just to kind of see how it kind of developed. And whereas the 5-year was a little looser, but it also had some different notes, you can definitely feel like the whiskey's getting denser and more rich this extra year of aging. And it is just really good. And that, like, I think some people complain about like a pot still funk thing, which I can kind of understand. I don't personally have a problem with it, but like this 6-year is going past that to just being almost cross the board recommendable. So
I mean,
I think it's also one of those things where I think as much as we all love the early iterations of Epoch, I do think they lent themselves to rye drinkers' rye. If people who really love those rye notes that you can get, a little bit of that herbal note, that rye spice, some of those notes that came through, if it's your jam, you're going to love it. But if you're a bourbon drinker, it might be a little bit of a getting used to. Whereas I think this iteration dances really well with bourbon lovers too. You get some of those characteristics as it's matured. It's a lot more layered. And I think that this is something that is now going to appeal to a larger audience of whiskey drinkers who may not just be rye lovers. You may get some of those bourbon and American single malt lovers to come on board with this.
I think it's a rye drinker's rye.
It is definitely a rye drinker's rye, but I think this has more notes that will appeal
for
to a bourbon drinker. And I think that's a little bit more complex.
I'd like to offer a little commentary that kind of links back to something earlier I talked about, which is how, with our very unique pot still shape and kind of really low rectification. So a ton of fusel oils, a ton of, like, when I was talking about a very dense, complex spirit, I think in the young ages, that creates a schism in the whiskey drinkers, because it's not a really light, clean spirit. And for young spirit, sometimes that can be nice because it's not all up in your face. And I do think it's a rye drinker's rye, especially when it's young. But when I talked about I think creating that dense of a spirit creates an opportunity for long aging. I think we're starting to see the benefit now of entering those older ages, because the complexity has a chance to mellow, blend, and evolve into something really, really interesting. Like this is why I think we're kind of reaching for gold here in the later ages, is because we've given it the opportunity, and maybe it's polarizing when it's younger. I still think the Jerry Thomas edition, our 2-year rye, is just an excellent sipper, but you have to appreciate the rye spirit and kind of the densest version of that. Whereas as it's aging up, we have so much opportunity for congeners to reattach and deattach and create new flavor profiles that, like, the complexity of the spirit becomes its greatest strength as it gets older, because it won't get boring. It's not going to get overpowered by a barrel as the barrel becomes more influential. It's not going to become a vanilla bomb. It's going to become like a more accessible, still wildly complex version of the younger spirit. So I think it's the benefit, it's the kind of the pluses and the minuses of the pot still that define Epoch at all ages, right? It's going to make it polarizing when it's young, but it's also going to make it kind of give it its absolute best qualities when it's old.
George, how are you? George is here, by the way. George was there on Sunday. Yeah. How are you, George?
I'm doing good.
You've got the 6-year. I assume you like it as well.
It definitely is a shift in the flavor. Always liked the Epoch, but you can the Epoch, but you could always tell the pot still, because you definitely get more grain off of it, which is great. But the 6-year, it's definitely another level. You get so many more flavors off of it. I really enjoy it.
There you go.
Thank you, George.
There you go. Anthony, I'm curious, now that you've had it for a while, we're all waiting. I know you're going to put a Discord review of it. What flavors are you getting off of this palette?
All right.
Come on.
So, for me, the quintessential flavors I get off of most of Baltimore Spirits Company stuff, if you read any of my reviews, I get a ginger toffee kind of thing. But and specifically because every single iteration, whether it's Jerry Thomas or the Reserve 4-year, or this release has this kind of rich ginger, and specifically like this kind of what I think of as toffee. It's just a rich, it's not even caramel, it's like darker than caramel. I love it throughout the entire series. But what this adds is like there's this kind of like peach and apple syrup kind of thing that I get on the palate, which is really nice. I also get like a light licorice on it, which I appreciate. Another thing that's kind of interesting to me is unlike one of the flavors that's very rare for me to find, but I find on this is an almond flavor, specifically kind of like
marzipan.
Yeah, the marzipan almond kind of flavor, which is just really delicious. And one other flavor I get on this that I haven't gotten on any of the other Baltimore Spirits Company is a little bit of like root beer oak. Like if you go and like you don't really let the flavor, like that kind of licorice aspect, plus the spices of the rye and like and the sweetness, and it all kinds of come together in a little bit of kind of a root beer flavor for a little bit. Okay. It's really nice. I've been dissecting this quite a bit tonight for my review, comparing it to all sorts of things. You know,
I love it.
Just as a kind of a preview, as one of the things I did compare it to, because people got to know, is I threw candy against it, and spoiler, BSC beats it. Like Jesus, I'm just gonna say, anybody who loves rye whiskey, this 6-year
wait till we pick one
than Thomas H. Handy. It's just
Andy.
Super complex.
I'm sorry, go ahead, George.
It's super complex and very layered. I mean, you wouldn't know unless it said it that it's only 6 years. It's great.
I mean, listen, and when I tried this the other day, what did I say to you? I said, listen, it was the first sips of it. I said, automatically, I think this is one of my favorite rye whiskeys of the year. And that's I haven't had Thomas Handy. I don't have that, Anthony. So good for you. This is so exciting because I think if we can expose, there was a comment earlier who said, I've never even heard of Baltimore Spirits. This is really interesting. And that's what I love that we can do. We can hopefully get Max and Eli's products to people across the country that have never heard of you guys. And when they taste it, they're like, oh shit, this is great. It's the same thing they have with Old Line, right? No one had ever had Old Line. They've heard of it. They thought they didn't like single malts. They try it and they're like, this is amazing. So it's the same thing with Still Austin. It's the same thing with, Corbin Cash. I cannot wait for us to get to you, Max, and pick a barrel that we can get out to our patrons across the country and they can taste what we're talking about here. This is going to be fantastic.
Man, I'm feeling the love, guys. That's all. George and Anthony, that was awesome to hear your thoughts. And I think this year's Handy is a 6-year. I think I read the press release.
They're all 6 years. I mean, the one I'm
so like that also just makes us feel like we're just like we're playing in the league we want to play with here. And I know that we're a small little player out here, but it's always been our intention to make world-class whiskey. And I know there's kind of a lot of startup whiskey places that use that as a tagline, and we've left it behind a long time ago because we needed more interesting things to say. But we've only had the intention of creating some of the best whiskey in the world, and that's kind of what we've struggled to do this whole time, and why we put up with such a insane way of doing the things that we do, is to try and do this. So awesome to hear the compliments. I really appreciate that, and can't wait to do the pick. That's going to be super fun.
Max, I really love the weird stuff you guys do.
Well deserved.
And one of my favorite bottles is the Founders.
Yeah. That's a wild one, man. I'm glad you have that. That was my little pet project.
With everyone, it's super off profile for most things you guys do, and it's just an amazing pour.
Boy, that was a fun process. For any listeners who don't remember that, and a lot of you won't have had the opportunity to have it, and unfortunately, it's gone forever.
Yeah.
It was in 2020 during the COVID kind of moments. I kind of tasked each of the owners of like, hey, let's put down some fun whiskey, just passion projects. Like, doesn't have to be rye, it can be whatever you want. Like, but let's kind of do some personal sensibility stuff while we have a minute here to consider and just get some things down in barrel. It's always a good thing to have interesting things in barrel. So we did a number of them. They're all really cool. The one you held up was mine, which was 50% rye malt and 50% corn, triple distilled. Triple distilled can mean a lot of different things. But this is the way that most people imagine it is, where we did the stripping run, took the low wines, put it in the spirit still, ran it all the way again, collected that, discarded the stillage, put it back in the still, and then did a spirit run. So we just really cleaned it up. My goal is to go for something really light and fruity. So the corn for sweetness, rye malt is a very fruity distillate. And I aged it from day one in a Sauterne cask from a first growth Grand Cru in France, which is cool. And it aged for about 5.5 years before it came out. And it's a really interesting, rich, syrupy bottle that's a lot of fun to drink through. It really evolves quite a bit through the bottle.
So what other weird things do you have like this?
We've got some stuff. We've got a little bit of single malt, which is really cool. We just opened up something called Project Pete this year. Anthony, are you in on that?
The buy-in was too much for me, right?
Fair. So it's a 5-year project. So basically every year we draw a 750 and a 375 from the barrel, and each person, there's 30 people, get a big bottle and a little bottle, and they'll get a bottle at, this year was 4, so they'll get one at 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 by the end. And that's going to be a really fun project. It's already entering in a really nice period for a peated single malt, and they'll get to kind of have an actual vertical flight from the same barrel by the end of it, which is a pretty rare experience, which will be fun. We put some peated bourbon down, which is awesome. We have no idea what to do with it because I've already expressed to you the problems with releasing peated anything, but it's really great. They may end up being single barrels. I know the Seal Box team really loves those barrels, so they may end up with one. We have a chunk of barrels that is like an Irish pot still style whiskey. So it's the Epoch Rye recipe, but done with barley. So it's 75% unmalted barley, 25% malted barley. So it's not a single malt. It's really kind of a grain whiskey, but it's a traditional Irish pot still whiskey is what it is. And that is over 4 now, and the flavor profile is very cool. And we have enough barrels of that to where we could do certainly multi-years of releases for it in pretty reasonable sized batches, not single barrels. So that's cool. And we even put some alternative rye recipe stuff down that is just not the Epoch Rye recipe. Some other things, those are coming of age. There's only a handful of barrels. So we got a lot of stuff. We got unpeated single malt. We got peated single malt. We actually, we haven't announced this yet, but not this Friday, but next Friday, we're re-releasing Singularity #1, which is something that
number 8.
I'm pretty certain that it's something we invented. This might be too far out for you guys, but port is, distilled grapes into brandy, and then you put it in partially fermented or unfermented grape juice in a barrel, bring the ABV of that mixture up to where it won't ferment, and you age it. So it's unfermented grapes with the distilled version of fermented grapes. Well, a long time ago, we did the same thing, except we did it with beer. So we distilled beer, and then we brewed a beer, like a wort, and we didn't ferment it. We put it in barrel and topped it up with the distilled beer, and we let it age for a year or so, and then we released it. That was our very first Singularity. It was good. People liked it. We felt like we were onto something, but it wasn't kind of as developed as we wanted it to be. It was a fun thing, but not like a holy shit thing.
Yeah, right.
So we did it again, and now it's been in barrel for 5.5 years.
Oof.
And we tasted it the other day, and now it's a holy shit thing.
Oh wow!
And that's going to come out on Black Friday. So if
That's
you
awesome.
want to get into some weird stuff with us, come see us in a week and a half. That's going to be a really fun one. And this thing doesn't exist. Nobody has any idea what they're getting into, but it's really, really cool.
Love it. Like
Well,
mad
speaking
science.
of singularity, we do have this one, Todd, to try tonight that I wanted to let you try.
Rye liqueur.
Oh, this rye fig liqueur. This is a fig rye liqueur.
Oh, right. Okay, it's a
Tell
rye
us about
fig.
this one, Max, because I
no.
thought this was just funky, fun, and all kinds of exciting. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, this one's cool. So this was a recent release, and it's not the first fig rye that we've done, but this one was a little different. So year and a half ago, call it, we took a barrel of whiskey, took it out, put about 120 pounds of figs in it, let it macerate for 3 months, so a long maceration. Then we drained it, put all the figs. So we not only drained it and recouped the whiskey, but then we put all the figs into a wine press, like a bladder press. And we pressed all of the figs that had been macerating for 3 months. So we got all the kind of juice and whiskey that is absorbed into them, pressed it all out. And last year we released some of those bottles, but a full barrel of it went back into a whiskey barrel where we aged it for another year and a half or so. Which is what we then removed from barrel, sweetened with a little bit of raw sugar, and is in your bottle. And the reaction to this year's batch after the re-aging has been awesome.
How good
you
is
can
that?
drink this. You can drink this as a straight up, but I can imagine making some amazing cocktails with this as well. Holy!
My father-in-law tried this and said, "This may be the greatest thing I've ever tasted. What the hell is it, and where do I get it?" And when I told him Baltimore Spirits, he said, "You better take your ass down there and make sure this is under the tree for Christmas." So I actually, he loved it.
You have more of it, Max. Hopefully, for Andy's sake, you have more you can buy. Is it still from there?
We do have more. It's not unlimited, but we have some right now.
All right, there you go.
It's fantastic. Really, really good.
Real quick, Andy, we do have somebody's watching just become a Patreon member. I think they want this 6-year single barrel pick. So we do have, I'm going to pull up the name so we can properly. Wes Fortenberry has just become a 21090 Patreon member. So Wes, thanks for joining the family, and you'll get access to that 21090 epic 6-year single barrel pick we're having soon. So welcome to the family.
Well, I have to give them a proper intro. So thank you and welcome to the family.
Welcome to the carnival. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the edge of your seat. Let's go. Let's go. Do you really want to do this?
So
that brings me to my next question is, since it's music, Max, we love music here. We think music and whiskey go really well. Doesn't matter what type of music, you're sitting in the distillery, Eli's got another batch going. What's playing at Baltimore? What do you like to what gets you in the right frame of mind? What music do you like?
We'll buy 2 barrels if you say Def Leppard. But go ahead. Spotlight's on you.
Boy, Def Leppard, Quiet Riot, Twisted Sister.
Yes.
Bon Jovi.
Yes.
I'm all in.
Yes. Let's go.
Yeah, so I mean, I have a really wide berth. I love music. Here's my sweet Fano guitar over there, my pedal board, which is awesome.
Oh yes, thank God, yes.
We got a jam.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be sick. So it's a wide berth, but if any of my friends listen to this podcast and I didn't say that I love Baltimore's own Frank Zappa.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. That I wasn't, that I didn't bring out the full truth. So
love it.
Shout out Zappa. But I've been listening to a lot of like old '60s soul recently. I love a lot of '90s rock, including like some of the deeper cut Faith No More, all the Mike Pattons.
Awesome. I saw Faith No More at Michael's 8th Avenue. It was there in Glen Burnie. I don't know if it's not there anymore.
Cool, man.
Way back in the day.
Jealous. So
here's a question for you, Max.
And if you ever want to link up for karaoke, I'm your guy.
Yeah, let's do it. Todd is the world's, by the way, greatest air guitarist you have ever seen.
True. Can't sing for shit, and I can only play 4 power chords.
He plays a mean air guitar.
I can play EJ.
You can do air guitar the solo when I don't know what to do with my hands.
Nice.
So here's a question: what '80s rock song describes epic?
Ooh, Well, for the
rock?
cast strength, I think for the average person, it's going to be I want a rock
Yes.
Perfect.
because they want an ice cube.
They
want a rock.
I love it.
I love it. That's good. I like it. I love it.
That's great.
There you go.
Here's a little Todd air drumming, just in case you wanted to see.
Oh,
how good-
God.
That's just,
I can also air drum too. Yes.
he'll even toss it up. Watch him. He throws it up. Look how talented.
Wow.
That's really good.
You caught
That's-
that?
I
He
caught it. Imaginary air drum.
That's
It's
impressive.
great.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Really,
it's a
that's
talent. It's talent that doesn't pay for anything. That's great. Besides getting made fun of. It's all right. It's Wizard Evan's sister. That's so great. That's awesome. Anybody in the chat have any last questions for Max? He's over his hour. Yes, we are going to be doing an epic single barrel. We're going to put together a great pick team. These guys they're going to be on it, I think.
So excited.
We're going to go and pick. We can't wait, but Max, what's next for Epic? Like, what do you see 2 to 3 years down the road? Like, what's next?
The thing about whiskey is that there's nothing you can do to keep it from getting older. It's just going, but this is kind of low key news, but we're working on opening a restaurant concept in the next year or so.
That's awesome.
At your current location?
About it. There may be a change in location. Nothing's far enough along for wild details yet, but it's something we'd really like to do. We think it makes a lot of sense for the visitor who comes to see us, for us to be able to feed them and showcase the whiskey with food and kind of create something special in our own home, and really be able to kind of entertain people as guests in a different kind of way. So this is my dream. I'll let you guys in on kind of how I view my brand these days, which is different than I did 10 years ago. Because 10 years ago, I wanted to conquer the world, and it was a different whiskey market, and there weren't many of us. We were tip of the iceberg. We were, I think, the third distillery in Maryland that actually distilled their own product by the time we opened. Right, so zero distilleries when we started the business plan. I think we were the third people that were actually making anything in the first rye distillery in Baltimore. But now there's like 40 distilleries in Maryland, which is awesome. Congrats to each and every one. It's a tough biz, and we're all kind of rising tides. But the idea of going coast to coast with a brand when we're not going to bring $20 million of marketing in and start buying TV ads and billboards all across the country, and every time you open a state, you lose money for 5 years. Well, we don't have the bandwidth to be losing money for 5 years in any state, Yeah. So we want to make our experience in our own state and in our own home as kind of astounding and hospitable as it can possibly be. Just the absolute best of the best right here in Baltimore. And kind of the thing that's always on my mind is, before Coors went nationwide, people would take road trips across the country, bring their car and just fill it with Coors to bring Coors back home.
Coors.
And that's kind of like, I want to make the best rye whiskey in the country. I want to be the premier rye whiskey distillery on the East Coast. That was written in our original business plan, and that remains my goal today. But I want it to be where people where it's so good that people want to come get it from us, and they will. Because what's going to make the most sense for us is to have it in our house, serve Maryland the best we can, give Baltimore the best distillery experience and visitor experience that they could possibly ask for, and hopefully draw a lot of attention to our city and our state, and have people come pick up their favorite bottle of rye right in our house.
I love it. And I'll say the same thing to you that we said to Mark and Arch. You guys are on the top of the wave right now before you absolutely just go ballistic because of how good it is. Your hidden gems can only stay hidden for so long before people realize just how damn good they are. And, it just reminds me of when they say, hey, you can't sell an American single malt. We're not selling anything. We're talking about how bloody good it is.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do here. We want to talk about how good
I can't wait.
Baltimore Spirits is, and we cannot wait to continue to partner with. I mean, let's be honest. First of all, I love the idea of a restaurant, because after a couple of these, I could have used a burger or something. So that was great. Where else can you get this, followed by this, followed by this? And then, oh, by the way, Ja Rule wants to work with us. You guys in 10 years have already done some crazy, amazing things. I can't wait to see what the next 10 years has to offer, Max. I think this is just a wild ride. It's going to keep getting better.
Andy, real quick, there's an important question. Sweet Cindy's been asked, Max, are you married? Don't answer that. I think she wants to marry you. So that's that. Another question, though, is any hazmat options potentially? Well, you mentioned that the proof is going up in age for some of these. I mean, the 6 years at almost 130. So I assume as they
by
get
the time
older,
this thing gets to 8-9 years, it may do.
But we always say, don't worry about the stats. It's how it tastes, right? So when we come for our pick, don't tell us the proof. Don't tell us. Just bring out samples and let's get the best tasting whiskey. The stats are the stats. That's all that matters.
We'll do it blind until you guys have made your pick, and then I'll tell you what you did.
Exactly. That's the way to do it. And then West Virginia, great guy here. Is there another iconic collaboration coming out? Is there?
Is that for me?
I guess so.
I think he might be talking about Rye Curious.
Rye Curious. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Ryconic's great, and if nobody's using that name, then we will.
That is a good name.
You might be asking for something that does actually exist. But if it's Rye Curious, there will be more Rye Curious blends, but it won't be the same distilleries. So the original one was Sagamore, BSC, and McClintock, and that bottle was awesome.
Nice.
And we really enjoyed it. But the idea is to we want to kind of spread the love. I'm pretty involved in the Rye Curious campaign, and we want to highlight a lot of different distilleries. So we started with the big ones to try and kind of create its initial audience, but we want to highlight some of the smaller and newer producers who want to get in on it and keep telling the story of Maryland distilleries in kind of as broad a way as we can.
All right, and the last thing I have, Andy, is we have a poll going, nearly 100 votes in. Have you ever tried? I'm just curious for the people that are coming in. Have you ever tried Baltimore Spirits Epoch Rye? So 26% said, heck yes, I've tried it. 69% said no, but I want to. And there's 6% that said no, I'm not a rye fan. So that's good. We've got about 94% that said either I've tried it or I want it. So let's go with this. Let's get that single barrel so our patrons can try that Epoch Rye and all the greatness that's coming out of Baltimore.
George, you and Anthony think you wanna jump in on this if we go and
maybe.
Oh, they're in, Andy.
I mean, you even have to ask.
Right.
No, we didn't. We just figured we would just for the hell of it, just for fun.
No, Max, you guys think about doing a double oak?
Well, the toasted barrel
is
kind of a double oak, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's people use double oak in a lot of different ways, but the toasted's the closest thing that we've got currently. We may have put one back in the new charred barrel as well, just for kicks. We had a reason to do it. I don't want to spoil the reason here.
And I can imagine this Epoch Rye and some finishes too that just must be out of this world.
I can imagine. You got a pretty cool brewery a couple feet away. You ever do any
Union,
collabs
right?
with?
Yeah. We they've used a bunch of our rye barrels for aging their stouts and their barley wines, and we usually get a little logo shout out on their bottles when they do that. The first Bort, which is our beer port. I maybe forgot to mention that we like to affectionately refer to it as Bort. The first Bort was a distilled Union stout, and this one may also actually be a Union beer. I'll have to kind of go back in the computer. It's different when it was last year than when it was almost 6 years ago. So we've distilled some of their beer, especially in COVID when people had like kegs and tanks of beer that were going bad because nobody was allowed to go out. We actually took 2 different batches. I think an Anthem, which is their golden ale, and the Divine, which is maybe a
I mean, Andy,
those have
I
been
think
distilled and in barrel for a number of years now as well. So we've done some of that.
I'm pretty sure our single barrel pick we pick from Max should go right over to Union, and something needs to go in there and start aging, and then we can have a release party for our local patrons to go buy that beer that whatever comes out.
I agree. We've enjoyed working with them. They're great people.
They're awesome.
I do like the whiskey community. I was actually texting yesterday with Brian Treacy, and he was excited that you were going to be on tonight. I do love how communal and just how supportive the Maryland whiskey community is with each other. It's a great thing. I'd love to see it grow. I think the Maryland beer community really helped lift things. The whiskey community is right there with them now, kind of following in suit. We'll get there with wine. I don't know what it is about wine. We have to take a step.
Andy loves wine, Max. Are you a wine? Do you like wine, Max?
Yeah, guilty. I do. I'm an equal opportunity abuser.
There you go.
The Maryland wine scene is really interesting. I think if you were drinking Maryland wine 10 and 15 years ago, then you would say that it's a world better now. I mean, just a whole other thing. But there's some interesting studies that say that, the Maryland soil and climate is not too unlike some really high-end French countryside.
You're so right there with me. I didn't know that people knew that stat about the terroir of Maryland is comparable to lots of regions in France, but that's really awesome.
But it takes, in the same way it did for California, it takes decades to understand how to get the most from a climate and wine. So rye grain is a weed. It'll grow anywhere. We're lucky that that's our core ingredient. But grapes and getting the best version of it require academic research, time, different harvest, the right weather, and really understanding how to maximize the opportunity that the land gives you. And even though it's similar to France, it's different enough to where you have to do it in a whole different way. It was the same thing in California, where they knew it was good, but it took them decades to figure out how to make good wine. So and
a whole lot of luck is involved in that too, because you're at the mercy of so many elements that are uncontrollable. We're with beer and to an extent whiskey too. I mean, you're driving a little bit, whereas wine, there's a whole lot of help me out as you look upstairs to see what's going to happen.
Quit talking about wine, or you'll start losing Patreon. So thank you for giving me my brief.
And Andy will fight that though.
Oh, hell no. You can like all of it. That's all good stuff. We can, what did you say? Equal opportunity abuser. I like that. I think that's great. But
a good is a good sport.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. But Max, I can say unapologetically, we love what you guys are doing. It definitely has been way too long and long overdue. But we hope that this is just the start of a lot of good things. We are going to continue to sing your praises, which are well deserved to the high heavens, because not just because you're in our backyard, but this is just good stuff, man. We appreciate you.
Anthony, George, any last comments or questions for Max before we end this amazing live stream tonight?
No, just looking forward to the pick. It's going to be a good time.
It is.
I love y'all. I think y'all do great stuff, and I think the people who haven't had this yet are in for a pleasant surprise.
I appreciate it, Anthony, and you guys have been very kind tonight. Thank you for having me on. It's been a blast. Love hanging out, and good to see some familiar faces as well.
No, we appreciate you coming. Hey, Max, one last question. If there's we'll walk out on this one. If they were going to make a movie about you, who would play Max Lents in the Baltimore Spirits movie? Who's playing you?
I'm going to go with Drew Barrymore.
What? All right, it got me on that.
I didn't see that coming at all.
A mile away. Drew Barrymore.
Well, let me ask you one more follow-up question. Who would play Todd?
I think Bruce Willis. That's what I'm saying.
I didn't ask Bruce Willis my ass. I didn't ask you. Who would
play
Todd?
Or Scott Van Pelt from ESPN. One of the two.
Scott Van Pelt is a strong choice, but I'm going with Bruce. I like Bruce.
Thank you. Yeah. See,
10 years ago.
No. Maybe Todd. I don't know if you know this. He has been in a movie before.
Oh, stop it!
No, look at you didn't see this, but look at the heat. So,
isn't that Bruce Willis there? No, that's Patrick Swayze.
All right, well,
see the resemblance. There you go.
Guys, we appreciate you, brother. Max, thank you. George and Anthony, thank you guys very much. Next week, guys, do not forget we are going to be dropping the
there it is.
The sweet potato, the sweet.
We got to get Max some of this sweet potato spirit, Max. What do you think about sweet potato spirit?
I told we're going to drop that off to him. It's going to be fantastic. But yeah, that's coming, and I do want him to meet David. I think he's going to have. I think he and David hit it off, man.
Two Rye fans, hell
yeah.
Yes.
Rye fans doing some good stuff. So, But yeah, we got that. We've also got Bourbon County Stout, the whole lineup coming up very soon.
Coming out.
To review.
We've got our Anheuser-Busch media kit. We're going to get into that next week.
Yeah, so we got a lot of good stuff coming your way. So, guys, we'll see you all next week. We appreciate you very much. Todd, what should we go out with? Anything we should go out with?
I don't know, Andy. You're going to find something that makes me look stupid.
Well, they all do that. But which one do you like? Which one's least offensive to you? And you want to pick one? What do you think?
Least offensive?
Yeah.
I don't. Andy, just pick one. I look like an idiot on all of them, so let's just do it.
All right, Max, stick around. Don't go out yet, Max.
Yeah,
we'll
Max,
take you out to the real men of genius, and we'll see you all next week.
Oh God, here we go.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real men of genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. Really, Really, Really Bad Dancer.
Mr. Really, really, really bad dancer.
Arms swinging, knees bending, head bobbing to no particular rhythm. You're either dancing or you have fleas.
Call me a doctor.
As soon as you hit the dance floor, the taunts begin. Is that all you got, playa? Unfortunately, yes, that's all you got.
Pour it on now.
Who's in the house? Some guy who can't dance. That's who's in the house.
Your style.
So crack open an ice cold Bud Light, Mr. Happy Feet, because you really put the oogie in boogie.
Mr. Really, really, really